Well, hello, and welcome to Stop, Let's Team Up, episode 81, Avengers Inc. #1. I went to the new comic shop. I went to the comic shop I go to, Velocity Comics, which are the best comic shop in the world, in my opinion, to pick up my books, and I picked up my copy of Avengers Inc. #1 by Al Ewing, and I'm forgetting, terrible person. I'm not reading the artist's name. It's Leonard Kirk's. It's a new book by Al Ewing. I love Al Ewing. I talk about Al Ewing all the time. And it's definitely a follow-up to his Ant-Man miniseries and his Wasp miniseries that came out in the last year. Get them both. They're both great. But it's basically the Wasp forms a new Avengers team called Avengers Inc. And we'll go into that in a little bit. But I also am going to talk a little bit about, because I started to read it, and then they made a reference to Wasp, and I hadn't finished the Wasp miniseries, so I went and reread it last night and today. I loved it. I'm going to go back and read the Ant-Man one, too, at some point. But it's a new comic, and it's a new take on the Avengers, and I really enjoyed it, so I thought I'd do an episode about a new comic, because I always do old comics, because I'm an old geezer, and I'd give you my take on it. Let me give you what little internet data is on this, other than, I got it in my hot little hands. Avengers Inc. #1 came out on the 13th of September. It has an amazing Daniel Acuna cover. Beautiful. It's got Vic Sage. Who is Vic Sage? We'll talk about that. And the Wasp, and some murder victim outlines. It is written by, as I said, Al Ewing. Penciled by Leonard Kirk, inked by Leonard Kirk, colors by the amazing Alex Sinclair, and letters by Corey Pete of Virtual Calligraphy. So there are a couple covers. I got the Alex Ross. Alex Ross did this one long print with all the Avenger members, and the panel of that has Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel, Star Fox, Moondragon, Marvel, Dr. Drew, and all them. I saw that on the rack, so I took the one that they gave me, the Acuna covered one, put it back on the rack. They let me, and I switched this set up for Velocity Comics because I love Monica Rambeau, and I love Alex Ross, and I love this cover. I just actually won an auction and got a Monica Rambeau very cheaply action figure. I'm very happy. It's going to look very good in front of my Avenger omnibuses on the shelves. So this comic is Avengers Inc. Title is Case #1, The Man Who Wasn't There. So it starts at the Raft, and we watch David Cannon, a.k.a. Whirlwind, get shot point through the temple while someone says justice is served. And then we cut to the morgue, and Janet Van Dyne's been called in because not only was Whirlwind, a total of 6 villains were shot, including Whirlwind. One was Ice Master, who I've never heard of him, Pile Driver, Anaconda, and the Griffin. And she's intrigued because Whirlwind's her villain. He is a former chauffeur of hers who stalked her and tried to kill her, and even attempted to kill her again in issue 1 of the Wasp miniseries. But she's trying to figure it out, and we cut back to Jarvis's Lounge, which is this lounge on top of a new building. It is owned by Janet Van Dyne. It is a place for costume superheroes to meet and relax. And below it in the penthouse would be Avengers AQ. I don't know if they're using the Avengers book because they're not living in the Dead Sentinel anymore. So I don't know about that. But Luke Cage, the mayor of New York, is talking to her. He wants her help, and maybe. She asked, what about the Thunderbolts? It's like, no, because right now, even though he's mayor, costume heroes are still illegal in New York. And he controls a version of the Thunderbolts that Hawkeye is leading. But he needs Janet Van Dyne. But she says she can't use any costumes. So she goes to the prison. She looks at the bodies again. She's examining stuff. And then quicksand comes back to life. And we realize that not only are quicksand, but all of them will come back to life. One thing is David Cannon, Whirlwind, doesn't wake up when the others do. And when he does, he's got a glowing diamond in his forehead and red eyes. Sound like anybody we know? Yeah. And he starts fighting, and he has the powers of the Vision. And he saves Janet as they're all, and everybody gets recaptured. And he's saying that the last thing he remembers is this bearded guy with a laser beam standing over him saying, "You won't remember this, I'm afraid, and neither will I." Um, and he doesn't know what that means. Janet's noticing it's not David. It's not David Cannon. The body language is all wrong. Everything's wrong. And he goes, and for the last time, he says, "My name's not Cannon. It's Shade. Vic Shade." Victor Shade, she says. So she uses that little technicality that he may not be David Cannon and gets him out of prison and joins this new lineup of Avengers. And the final page it shows our membership right now, which I will say Vic Shade, Luke Cage, Janet Van Dyne, and Edwin Jarvis. And they're not doing costumes in their Avengers Inc. So if you've read Avenger comics as long as I have, in the Roy Thomas era, the Roy Thomas, John, and Sal Buscema era, Kree Skrull, the Vision created a secret identity for himself, high school teacher Victor Shade. But it kind of fell to the wayside. Vision never got his own book and never really played into it because he was in a team book. So when you're a character in a team book, you're in costume 24/7. So what has happened? Why has David Cannon's body been reanimated with a new personality in it and the powers of that superhero's secret identity? So it's kind of cool. I liked it a lot. I'm a big fan of Al Ewing. I always have been. I kind of read everything I can. There's a lot of stuff I discovered him, and he has a very big back catalog, and I've not filled in the gaps, especially some of his indie stuff. But his Marvel stuff and his Doctor Who has blown me away. His couple Defender runs have been great. The Ant-Man and Wasp miniseries are both fantastic. I think he's going to try to rehabilitate Henry Pym, please. And it's also, Henry and Janet hasn't been a big player in about a decade. And I recommend it's coming out soon, or if it's not out already, the 4-issue Wasp miniseries by Al Ewing is out. I read it the last 2 days. It was great. Check it out. But this comic, I think, is a great setup for a great Avenger book. I'm going to make a confession here. I am not digging Ted McKay's Avengers. It's not hitting with me. There's nothing going on. It's just a bunch of flashy images and no plot. We're 3 issues in and absolutely nothing has happened. The villain has no personality. They're just new names, and I just feel like everybody's trying to repeat Hickman. I think Jason Aaron, who I love, and I think his Avenger run was okay for me, but still, it's not doing anything. It's not moving the characters anyway. It's just doing something and then being done with it. And I just don't see what's going to happen with this Avenger run. I always buy it, and I always buy it, and I always read it. And I'll probably, when the first arc is over, kind of give you maybe they save me because maybe they're just writing for the trade, and I'll get my head out of my back end. But the Wasp and Ant-Man miniseries are great. This is a great first issue. I'm really looking forward to see where it goes. It's something new, something unique. Janet Van Dyne leading a team. Please, why isn't she an Avenger? The modern lineup I kind of like. I think McKay's lineup is good. But, you don't need T'Challa on it. You need more than just Scarlet Witch and Carol. Neither of them are the heart and soul of the team anymore. It's like to see Vision back in. I guess when I was a kid, he was the mainstay. It's just not singing to me. But this did. This really, really did. So check it out. I mean, it's well worth your time. The Wasp miniseries is a great story about Nadia, Wasp number 3. Remember, Hank Pym is the second Wasp. Janet and Edwin Jarvis having an adventure against one of her oldest foes, the creature that killed her Janet's father way back in her first appearance. So it's a great use of history. I mean, the Ant-Man and the Wasp miniseries were both written because it was their anniversary, and well deserved. They need to be remembered. It's that Hank is been so abused at times by writers to make him, because of he is a character with a flaw written into his character. It's just stop it for a little bit, give him a breather, let him be a hero again. I did like the merger of him and Ultron that was in Uncanny Avengers, the second Uncanny series at the end, and in a great Iron Man story. I like that. I really, really like that. I mean, it's so tragic. It is so Hank Pym. I think it sinks in a lot of ways. But you can bring Hank back. And Hank's kind of being hinted as being back in the epilogue in this and in the Ant-Man series that preceded it. So I think you read, they're both minis are on the app, read them. They're both going to be out in trade. The Ant-Man one's already out in trade. Get them. I think these are two forgotten characters that need to be highlighted and need to be center stage, need to be in an Avengers lineup. Hank has not been a big player in the Avengers really since the end of the run before Heroes Reborn. He had a great, I loved him in West Coast Avengers. He can be written well. He can be written well. Janet is an amazing character, and that they don't use it. She's not a mainstay of the team. Just, I don't understand it. So, but that's me being picky. All right, folks, that's it for this weekend. On Tuesday, you will get a Opal City Confidential episode. I recorded it before this one. All I got to do is do the posting and synopsis, blah 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 stuff, and it'll go up on time for early Tuesday morning. I'm excited for you guys to listen to one. Work was crazy, and I had to give. I didn't record or post anything this week until today. But I wanted to get one up. I recorded an episode with Ron yesterday from Fantastic Comic Fan, which will be up in a week or two, where we talk about Marvel 2-in-1 The Thing Meets the Thing. So, folks, as always, be safe, be smart, be kind to one another, and read some comics.